Whoa, whoa. I'm back. Sound like Oblivion character. Okay. All right. This is Course Constructor. I also have Raylib. I'm just gonna change the title. Time for some GD script. I'll hit done. I feel like I have to set several times for it to work. It says it updated successfully. Let's actually look. It's like children screaming outside. It's so hard to know if a child is like being killed or having fun. I know it sounds weird, but like the cacophony of noise. I'm all for a kid, having fun. I don't know if I should call the police at some point, It's like it's always just a little bit my hypervigilance just activates. Anyway, what am I doing here? Oh, yes. So, I've worked on this a little bit on stream. And I want to show kind of what I got. And so I've worked a little bit on the UI. Yeah, I gave an update last stream on some of the other changes. I've made some updates and stuff. We can expand. We can collapse. There were some other like sticky issues of like, I don't know. Basically, if you fiddle around too much, like stuff happens. But I think I got everything working. I made the mask. If you notice, there's a little bit of a mask that shows up when you hover over. And it used to be when I clicked on it, it would turn off. But then it would like stay on, and then all kinds of nonsense. So it just wouldn't like try to set the variable, wouldn't work properly. I don't know why it wasn't doing it properly, but I decided I'll just have the mask fade as it stretches, which I feel like is like okay, and it's consistent. The other thing was like kind of not there, but this you can see is kind of consistent. And it's funny because the mask doesn't like, it changes in the same scale. But I don't know, something about it makes me feel like the mask is doing this like pulse effect, even though that's literally not at all programmed into it. It's just a flat mask. You click on it and it fades away. I don't know why. It might be that the fact that this border is darker, and so you notice the contrast more here than you do here. So you see it as it fades more along the edges and less in the center. But yeah, it's almost like an optical illusion kind of thing. I like it though, so I'm keeping it. And of course, there's lots of little errors and stuff being implemented, but that's because we literally only have one menu. Wow, look at all these errors. So let me show an example of like what I was wanting to do. Actually, I don't know if I can. Well, no, I won't put together a scrap example. We'll just, I know what I'll do. All right. We'll pull this out again. Okay, so we're going to have some stages that this goes through. The children scream in delight or terror. I feel like I'm saying a lot of weird stuff that could just get clipped. You know, I do eventually want to be like Vincent Price levels of um, ooky spooky. So maybe it's a good thing. I'll work towards saying weird stuff now while I'm young. It's a skill I'll have to acquire over the years. Anyway, so here are all the phases. The first one will simply be a box that just says like start on it. And this one's probably too large. Yeah. Ooh, fancy, isn't it? I don't know how else to describe it. It's a deeply upsetting thing to hear blood curdling screams just in your neighborhood. And they're fine. That's why I don't want to have children. I just feel like I wouldn't know when an emergency is and when an emergency isn't. Anyway, you click start and you open up your main menu. The main menu itself will have a bunch of little panels. Oops. For now, we're just going to have 4, but we'll probably add more as time goes on. Depends. It depends on a few things. Hey, that's great. These are definitely to scale. So these panels will be... Yikes. Yeah, it's better. So we'll have tracks. We'll have music, which I also thought would be funny if I called it tracks, but it would be deeply confusing. Clever, but horrible from a UX standpoint. I must put you on pause. All right. Settings. Now we'll. Where am I? Exit. So all these little buttons. When you hit the start menu, it'll expand. I should have. You know what I should have done actually is just to help create the illusion, Michael. This button, you hit start, it stretches, and then these buttons whoosh, move in. And from here, it's all different. Exit is just like is right out. It literally just exits the game. There's not going to be anything special, or maybe there is. Maybe I'll put something in there, something to, thanks for playing or something. And I could put some kind of delay. I thought it'd be really funny to put like a photo of like a middle finger, just as like, whoop, gone. And you're like, what? Because I think that's funny. And it's my game. Anyway, oh shoot, you know what? I should give these all different colors. Oh, and that looks so great, doesn't it? Yes. Yes, we're beginning to believe. Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay. You know what, actually? Oh, okay. Maybe you get the... You're going to get the goopy colors. And you're going to get something nicer. Yeah, okay. Um. Anyway, let's see here. So we'll have our tracks, and I'm not really showing how they'll connect, but again, everything you click on, it sort of expands. Um, and then just the new buttons will load in. You click on one of those, it'll have some kind of animation, and then other buttons will appear or load in or something, be animated in. Uh, Honestly, I just feel like that would be fun, and I like working in 3D. I don't like 2D stuff. It always feels like it's a pain, but I don't know why. I just feel like the 3D stuff just feels a lot more fun to mess around with. Oh dear. Anyway, that and I like it like if the camera moves and the whole 3D menu is like, whoa. I just think it's fun. And if I'm going to be building this dang thing, I need to enjoy working with it, or else I'll hate it. I will resent it for existing. That's not really great. That's not really a great place to be. So here's that. Oops, and then finally, settings. Oh, and wouldn't you know it, it's the same background. Well, yeah. Here we go. Oh, just a moment. I gotta get all these lines straight. Um. Oh, nope, nope. Once again, I hate that it does that. Yeah. Much brighter, but perhaps better. No, actually, that sucks. No. That's deep, deep red. Um. Yeah, okay, actually. Well, that's fine. He said with great confidence. Yeah, sure. Okay. Anyway, the exit button is going to boot you out right out of the game. That's it. The other buttons, though. Ooh, let's do something fun. You're gonna go like this. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Tracks will also. Okay. Cool. There we go. Yeah, this is great. This these graphics. Hello, doing some professional graphics. Yeah. Yes. Yes, of course. How could you tell? Hey, Toby. Um, Clearly a work of a master craftsman. um, okay, so I'm showing off a little bit how I want the UI to work. Tracks and music will be similar. Settings is just going to be a list of options to toggle or slide. There's nothing special there. The tracks will also be a list of things. Huh. Having fun with Bezier curves? Yeah, in a way, I guess I am. Let's think. List of things. No, list of tracks. Yeah, that'll be it. It'll just be a list of all the tracks. Click on one, and I want it to like flip over and kind of expand, but on the back end, it'll be like some buttons. Like it'll be kind of the same sub menu actually for all of them. It'll just be like, here's the name. Might have like a snapshot if I can do like photos and stuff, screenshot kind of stuff. But like name, maybe the creator, the author of it. That would be if we'll let people share files, actually. Program language. This one's Godot with GDScript. I guess I could do C#. We'll worry about that later. Anyway, so there'll be that, like edit, play, and if you edit, it'll just go to like the build settings. If you hit race, probably just have a different menu that pops up allowing you to configure the settings. Actually, be really cool is if like it loads the thing and then you have like another menu and then like the camera is like scanning the course. I think a lot of them do that where they, it's just like panning this way and that, going over all the different parts of it. But then like the menu will be like, do you want to race with like 4 people or 8? How many laps? Is this a time trial? Like, race settings. Whenever you actually like do a race event. So, yeah, music. I feel like it'd be neat to have a list to let people go through and play, but I think it'd also be cool to have like playlists. So, like maybe a menu where it's just tracks, music tracks, and then these are the race tracks. I might want to call this courses, actually. We can change the name at any time. It's fine. But we should probably decide that sooner than later. Certainly before I start paying somebody to make assets, if I'm going to. Let's see. List of tracks. And this will be playlists. And I thought playlists would be nice if people can like create a playlist, give it a name, and then just go through and be like, all right, what songs do you want to add? And I think here settings is, a bunch of settings. Settings. Yeah. That's more or less the idea. But before we go into that, we have a more important thing that we must get done. Save changes. Yes. That's a different game. Oh gosh, where are you? This is like everything I've made with Godot or have worked on. A lot of it is just kind of small stuff. Oh right. References? References. I don't know if I named that right. UI configuration. Yeah, okay. Before we start building that stuff, though, I guess we don't have to wait, really. But more important than the UI will be managing how we select everything. I've gone over this again in a different game. So I've kind of been around the block on this one a few times, but I still like to take my time planning this because things get bulky and messy very quickly. Really? That's 50? Here, I don't know this font, but all right. We will have a selection system. this is really to make sure we're keeping track of like inputs and stuff. Um, so let's think here. One thing I know is very important is to have a structure of like selected elements. So I think it's like selected elements and what they lead to. So it might be a dictionary. It might be it might be just two arrays, frankly. So like, let's see. Oh, whoops, that's way too big. So selected, we'll say elements. That is still too large. That's better. Yeah, so we're gonna have our array of elements, and we'll also have an array. Whoa. Let me think here. Of menus. And then like something called depth index. And that's just going to keep track of where we are. So like our first entry will be that start button. Ooh golly, where did it go? How do I open this external program? There we go. Yeah, so the start button is the first thing we select, yeah? We'll select it, and the menu it loads will be our main menu. So initially, you know, we're going to have start with main. And then after that, you know, we'll, let's say you select, you know, tracks. Track list. Help provide a little clarity. Anyway. So yeah, it's like we're gonna have all these little things added here. I don't know, I'm making like a weird dictionary, technically. That's not really how it's supposed to look, but point is, let's say we're in that track list. And then we go, I don't want to be here anymore. Okay. We can either select a button or we can hit the escape key or something. Some button to go backwards, some way of going backwards. And when we navigate backwards, the first thing we're going to do is like, we're going to say, hey, get that depth index. Go back one. Or rather, I guess we could say the current one. Because the first one is at 0, and it gets stored after a selection. So we can be like, get that. But if you exit a menu, if you go back out of a menu and you're backtracking, then it'll say, hey, grab like, I mean, it basically like a vector in a way of like pop off. That's actually probably a good thing to do. Yeah, we can just pop off the previous menu. And then be like, all right, load that in. You know, whatever the old menu was, like well, we'll pop off the button, the element that was selected. because all the buttons expand or do some kind of animation. So we're just going to say, hey, take that, reverse the animation, collapse it or close it. And then that menu, once this is done, we want that to animate back. No, we don't actually. We want it to be active though. And that's the key thing, is that like we have to store a current menu, because we don't want to focus on every possible UI element, especially as we let's say we select things, we're going further down the menu. We do not want to keep track of every possible selection that has existed. We just want to be like, where are we at right now? And what 5 things can we scroll through? If we go backwards, of course, we need to be like, hey, that last menu we were at, I want you to focus on that. And that'll, toggle to enabled. We're also going to keep track of inputs through selector. The mouse stuff, of course, is something that has to get passed up, because it gets triggered per the thing that it's hovered over. So let's say we have to pass up actually let's write this in a README file. Let's see, what's the requirement here? Pass up when something is focused with the mouse. Store the current focus. Select focused element. Store previous. I don't know what to call this. The chain. Store the chain of selected elements and menus. We also want to make sure we can control focus via keyboard or controller. That's the main function of this, honestly. But it's really just to keep track of if someone uses the controller, we want to make sure, or the keyboard, we want to make sure that they can tab through and get to everything. Okay. Now this node, I don't think I'll need it to be 3D. Let's hope. Yes. I had a hair in my mouth. Okay. Can you hear that? I'm like a little kid right now. All right, class name, selection system. And let me think here. Let's store some of that earlier stuff. Selected elements. For now, that's just a button 3D, but it. I'm thinking about the settings. If there are sliders being used. Because if there are... What did that just say? Request throttled? Sorry, OBS issue. Who cares? Previous menus. Oh, and then depth index. We're also going to store the current focus, which should just be a button 3D for now. All right. Handle mouse focused. And I believe it passes, yeah, a value and itself. So we'll need that. We need a function where we'll need to process inputs. Ready, set, go. I'm not ready. I'm not set. I'm not going anywhere. Okay. Let's see here. Based on the input we have, there are so many planes that fly in this area. It gets really loud. Let's think here. So we'll need some way of setting the current focus. We will also need to have some way of shifting focus forward or backwards. Based on the input. Something else we need to do. Store selection. This will store. This will add to the selected elements in previous menus and increase our depth text. Depth index text. Restore previous. And that'll go for the menus and the buttons and everything. I'm thinking. And I'm getting sleepy. It's been a bit of a long day, even though I haven't streamed as long. Well, we kind of have what we want ish here in this test folder. It kind of goes through a lot of different stuff. Huh. I feel like I am totally tapped out. My brain is just going like, it's like that Tim and Eric thing, like, whoa. Except, it's not really going anywhere. Oh, I feel like a helium balloon, and on day 3, just like, yeah, we have something kind of rudimentary. And this will be actually, here's a good question. I don't need to export this at all. No, I do. It'll be a specific instance. That'll exist. Because what I'm seeing is like our menu is going to have this system, and it's going to have all the menu stuff. In fact, where is it? No. Menu mode. Yeah. So here's our start button. But more importantly, we will have our selection system. And there you go. So let's just start simple. When we are, let's start simple. When we're hovered over a button, let's see, we have focus change, selected, expanded, and shrunk. These are the things we need to watch out for. So in fact, Let's think here. Handle mouse focused. Handle. I think technically. I don't know if we'll pass selected back up the chain at this point. I'm gonna have it very top down. We should be able to select everything we need from the top down. But expanded and shrunk are important because these are other little events. So handle. Okay, it passes the button up. And we'll need to handle shrunk. I don't know if we do need to do this because I don't know. Oh. Okay. I'm day 4 helium balloon. Oh man, I am just completely zonked. That's not what that means. Whoops. Not zonked. I guess technically the main menu handles when things get expanded or not. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, this says the handling of this kind of stuff. You know what? I'm gonna call it. I'm too tired. I'm exhausted. I gotta relax. It's late. It's a Friday, and it's been a long one. So I'm gonna call it here. I'm clearly not getting a lot done. Well, thanks for stopping by, everybody, and any VOD watchers. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been the Triangle. Don't forget to try something new.